Chapter 19. When Magic Starts to Wake. Time skip. Transfiguration. Transfiguration. That Thursday felt heavier than usual. Hayley tried to act normal, to keep her wand steady, her voice calm, but her magic still hummed under her skin like an unattended kettle ready to boil over. Every spell she cast felt too sharp, like her power was reaching ahead of her instead of following her wand. McGonagall's eyes tracked her every motion, not suspicious, not angry, but alert, like a cat watching a mouse with wings. When the bell rang, students gathered their books and hurried out, eager for lunch. "Miss Potter," McGonagall's voice cut through the chatter. Hayley froze. Iris looked back, worry etched into her face, but McGonagall added crisply, "Just Miss Potter." Hayley's stomach dropped. Time skip. The empty classroom. The door shut behind the last student, muddling hallway noises. McGonagall stood at her desk, hands folded, expression unreadable. "Hayley," she began, using her first name, which she almost never did. "Have you been feeling unwell?" Hayley's throat tightened. "No, Professor." McGonagall paced slowly, her robes whispering against the stone floor. "Your magic has shifted." Hayley blinked. "Shifted." McGonagall nodded. "I have taught hundreds of young witches and wizards. Their magic wobbles, sometimes misbehaves, but yours is not erratic. It is evolving." Hayley's blood ran cold. Evolving. She swallowed. "I don't understand." McGonagall turned, wand in hand. "Lift your wand." Hayley hesitated, then did. "I would like you to perform Lumos." Hayley pointed her wand and whispered, "Lumos." Light burst from the tip of the wand, but brighter than usual. Too bright. It flared gold instead of white, hot and warm, casting long shadows across the walls. McGonagall raised an eyebrow. "Again." Hayley extinguished it. "Lumos." This time, the light pulsed, not flickering but breathing, like it had a heartbeat. McGonagall leaned forward slightly. Her voice softened, barely above a whisper. "What else have you done, Miss Potter?" Hayley's pulse hammered in her ears. She nearly said nothing, nearly lied, nearly crumbled. But before her mouth could betray her, however, a sound outside. A shoe scraping stone. Someone was listening. Hayley goes quiet as McGonagall's head snapped toward the door, wand half raised. "Inside," she called sharply. "Now." The door creaked open, and James stood near the door, hands in pockets, face too guilty and eyes full of worry. "James," McGonagall sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. "Spying is unbecoming for a Gryffindor." James stepped in, shutting the door behind him. "I wasn't spying," he said quietly. "I was listening." "That is the same thing," McGonagall said dryly. James ignored the remark and turned to his sister. "You're scared," he said softly, "and you don't get scared." Hayley opened her mouth to say something, but nothing came out. McGonagall watched them both, eyes sharp but not unkind. "This is not punishment," she said. "Hayley's magic is uncommon. It must be approached carefully." James slipped beside Hayley, shoulders squared like he was ready to fight a dragon for her. "What's happening to her?" he asked quietly. McGonagall breathes in and out, long and slow. "I do not yet know," she admitted, "but I intend to." Hayley's chest tightened. James's hand brushed hers, a sign of "I'm here." McGonagall pointed her wand to the door. "You are dismissed, both of you. Miss Potter, you will return after dinner. Alone." Hayley nodded numbly, but James didn't move until Hayley did. They stepped into the hallway as the door shut behind them with a soft click. Time skip corridor. James spoke first. "What did you do?" Hayley swallowed hard before replying. "I didn't mean to, it just happened." James took a deep breath. "Hayley, I don't care what it is. We'll figure it out. You're my sister. I've got you." Hayley felt her eyes sting, not from fear or sadness, but from relief. For the first time, she wasn't hiding alone. Time skip night. Hayley sat on her bed with her journal on her lap, as she's about to write in it. January 10th. McGonagall knows something is changing. She didn't get angry, she got worried. That's scarier. James overheard everything. I thought he teased me, but he didn't. He just stayed. Tomorrow, I go back to McGonagall's classroom alone. I don't know what she'll do. I don't know what I'll do. My magic feels like something is waking up, and I don't know if I'm ready. Hayley. She closed the journal, heart pounding. Something was coming and it wasn't stopping. Chapter 20, Magic That Remembers. Time skip McGonagall's office, next evening. The office was silent except for the crackling fire and the scratching of quills enchanted to finish marking essays on her desk. But Professor McGonagall wasn't watching them. Her hands were clasped tightly in front of her, and her expression was sharper. Across from her was sat Albus Dumbledore, his half-moon spectacles glowing in the lamplight, expression calm, too calm. She didn't perform a spell yesterday, Albus, McGonagall began, voice clipped, holding herself with rigid composure. She created one. Dumbledore raised an eyebrow. Created. McGonagall exhaled through her nose. In Transfiguration, a simple switching charm. Only it did not switch the objects. Her magic made the beetle invisible. And the Lumos spell I asked her to do last evening, it was pulsing like it was breathing. Ah, Dumbledore murmured, as if he had been waiting for that sentence. McGonagall raised one of her eyebrows in confusion. You knew something. I suspected, he corrected gently. There are rare children whose magic does not learn, it remembers. Their spells do not evolve with age, they evolve with will. McGonagall paced, tartan robes sweeping sharply behind her. She is only 12, too young to produce instinctive, self-woven magic, too young to be bending spells without incantation, if she cannot control her emotions. She may become a threat, Dumbledore finished. No, McGonagall snapped, eyes flashing. She may become a target, or worse, frightened of herself. Dumbledore's expression softened, ancient and sorrowful. James Potter may grow to be brilliant, he said quietly, but his sister may become something the world has not seen for centuries. The flames in the hearth flickered, as though bowing in agreement. Time skip, history of magic. Professor Binns droned on about goblin rebellions with the enthusiasm of a brick. Hayley tapped her quill impatiently. Iris sat beside her, doodling on her parchment. Up ahead, James was trying to charm a paper broomstick into flying and failing spectacularly. Hayley tried to focus, but her magic didn't. Her quill lifted from her fingers. She froze. Iris. Before she could finish, the quill scratched words onto her parchment. Stop ignoring me. Hayley slapped her hand over it. The quill split into 3 identical quills. Iris choked on a gasp. That is not supposed to happen. James spun around. What did you do now? I didn't do anything. Regulus, seated diagonally across the room, lowered his gaze to hide the fact that he was staring, not in fear, but in fascination. Hayley's cheeks burned. Her magic thrummed under her skin, like something waking and annoyed about it. Time skip, herbology. Greenhouse smelled like rain-soaked leaves and freshly turned earth. Students gathered around tables cluttered with pots of flutterleaf blooms, plants known to respond to magical emotion. Professor Sprout clapped her hands. These flowers react to your aura. They're shy, so be gentle. Hayley inhaled slowly and reached toward a plant, but the bloom didn't flutter. It bowed like it was greeting her. Then every plant in her row followed, their leaves dipping in perfect synchrony. Pandora Lovegood, dreamy-eyed, soft-voiced, leaned forward whispering, They're not afraid of you, they're listening. Hayley stiffened. To what? Pandora's eyes drifted upward, as though seeing constellations no one else could. To something older than you. James stared. That's not normal. Sirius grinned. No, it's brilliant. Remus murmured. It's uncontrolled. Professor Sprout approached cautiously, voice tinged with awe. Miss Potter, magic like yours is not reacting. It's commanding. Hayley stepped back. The plants leaned after her. Regulus watched her from across the table, quill hovering above parchment, forgotten. His eyes were wide, his expression unreadable, equal parts curiosity and quiet admiration. Hayley felt heat rush to her face and quickly looked away. Time skip astronomy tower, night. The stars glimmered above Hogwarts like ancient watchers, judging silently from the heavens. Hayley sat beside Iris, charts sprawled before her. James, Sirius, Remus, and Peter whispered conspiratorially nearby, likely planning something illegal. Hayley flicked her wand to illuminate her parchment. It glowed gold, soft at first then alive. Her name burned onto the parchment. Hayley Potter, Essence. Remus leaned in, voice hushed. That's Latin, it means rise. Hayley's wand pulsed like a heartbeat. James stood. Hales, something's happening again. Boom. A shockwave burst from her wand, not painful, not destructive, but undeniable. Lanterns flickered out, telescopes rattled, and Sirius whooped like Christmas had arrived early. Remus grabbed him. She's not doing this on purpose. Hayley stared at her hands. It wasn't magic anymore. It was something older, something choosing her, something waking. Time skip stairwell outside the tower. Dumbledore ascended the stairs first, robes whispering against the stone. McGonagall followed, breath uneven. She can't control it, she murmured. No, Dumbledore agreed softly. She is not meant to. McGonagall stopped cold. She is a child, Albus. And destiny, Dumbledore replied, eyes reflecting starlight, has never cared for age. Chapter 21, the end of year 1. Time skip Gryffindor common room, late evening. The fire crackled warmly, casting gold light over scarlet armchairs. Students chattered, played chess, or finished homework. Hayley sat curled near the hearth, hugging her knees. She was trying but failing to ignore the buzzing sensation beneath her skin. Iris sat beside her, voice soft. You're shaking again. It won't stop, Hayley murmured. I feel like there's something in me, like my magic wants to say something but I don't speak the language. James dropped into the chair opposite her. You're not alone, Hales. Whatever this is, you'll handle it. Sirius flopped into the seat beside James, grinning. And if you explode, we'll tell your story heroically. Very heroic. Lots of fire. Remus rolled his eyes. You're not helping. Hayley opened her mouth to reply, but her wand hummed. Softly at first, then louder. The flames in the fireplace flickered blue, and the students froze. A spark burst from her wand, then another, then a ring of golden light erupted around her. Everyone gasped. Hayley stood up abruptly, panicked. I'm not doing anything. The ring expanded, silent, shimmering, harmless yet powerful enough to rattle the windows. Her magic wasn't begging, it was claiming. The ring collapsed inward and vanished, leaving the room dead silent. James whispered, awed but afraid, What are you becoming? Hayley didn't answer as she didn't know. Time skip, the next day, greenhouse path. It smelled of wet grass and summer wind. Hayley walked alone, head down, trying to avoid eye contact with living things. Even the shrubs seemed to lean toward her. Potter, a voice called out. She stopped and turned around to see Regulus approaching, robes straight, expression composed, though his cheeks were pink. He cleared his throat. Yesterday, with the plants, and last night the magic eye, words abandoned him. Hayley's eyebrows raised. Yes. He inhaled sharply, then exhaled. You're different. Hayley lowered her head. I didn't ask to be. Regulus hesitated, then comes out with, I don't think being different is bad. Hayley blinked and he swallowed. In my family, power earns fear, but your magic isn't frightening, it's... He struggled, cheeks now a darker shade of red. Beautiful. Hayley stared. Regulus slowly realized what he said, then he turned around and sprinted away. Hayley stood frozen. Her magic hummed, pleased. Iris stepped out from behind a tree, smirking. You know he likes you, right? Hayley groaned. Please let the ground eat me. Time skipped the Great Hall. Candles floated high above, their flames steady despite the murmur of voices and the scrape of benches. Plates sat forgotten. No one cared about pudding when 4 towering hourglasses stood full beside the staff table. Rubies, sapphires, emeralds, and diamonds waiting. Professor McGonagall stood tall at Dumbledore's side, expression unreadable. Professor Slughorn reclined comfortably in his chair, eyes drifting more than once towards the Slytherin table. Professor Sprout smiled warmly, fingers laced together, while Professor Flitwick rocked gently on his heels, barely containing his excitement. Dumbledore rose, and the hall fell silent at once. "Another year at Hogwarts," he said kindly, "has come to an end." A ripple of applause followed. "But before you board the Hogwarts Express and scatter back into the world, no doubt leaving a trail of mischief in your wake, there remains the small matter of the House Cup." Cheers broke out, quickly quieted as Dumbledore lifted a hand. "The final standing are as follows." With a flick of his wand, the hourglasses shimmered. Ravenclaw 306 points. Polite applause followed. A few Ravenclaws nodded thoughtfully, already dissecting where they'd lost ground. Hufflepuff 314 points. Warm cheers rose from the yellow and black table. Amos Diggory, broad-shouldered and earnest even at his age, clapped loudly for his housemates, grinning with pride. Slytherin 322 points. The Slytherin table erupted. Green banners quivered as celebration broke out early. At the center sat Lucius Malfoy, prefect's badge gleaming against immaculate robes. He leaned back, pale fingers steepled, a thin, satisfied smile already in place. Victory was expected. It always was. Further down the table, Severus Snape watched intently, black eyes sharp and calculating. Professor Slughorn beamed, but Dumbledore waited as the noise slowly died down. "Which means," he said mildly, "that I have a few additional points to award." The air shifted, and Lucius's smile tightened. At the Gryffindor table, James straightened instantly. Sirius leaned forward, eyes bright with anticipation. Remus stilled, sensing the weight in Dumbledore's tone. Peter swallowed hard. "I wish to award points to Miss Iris Evans," Dumbledore said. Iris froze, and Lily looks over to her. "For exceptional loyalty," he continued, "and courage shown when fear would have been the easier choice. 50 points to Gryffindor." The Gryffindor table exploded. James whooped, Sirius banged his goblet against the table, and Iris stared in stunned disbelief as cheers washed over her. "And," Dumbledore went on, his voice lowering just slightly, "to Miss Hayley Potter." The hall quieted again. Hayley's heart pounded painfully in her chest. "For perseverance in the face of fear," Dumbledore said, eyes fixed on her, "for choosing restraint when power urged otherwise, and for understanding that magic is not something to wield, but something one must answer to." His wand tapped the desk once. 60 points to Gryffindor. The rubies surged. The numbers rearranged themselves. Gryffindor, 368. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then scarlet and gold bannered unfurled from the ceiling. The lion roared. The great hall erupted. James leapt to his feet, dragging Sirius up with him. Remus laughed openly, rare and unguarded. Peter cheered so hard his voice cracked. Iris covered her mouth, overwhelmed as Lily cheered and hugging her younger sister. At the Slytherin table, celebration went into silence. Lucius's smile vanished entirely. His eyes locked onto Hayley, not angry, assessing, remembering. From the shadows on the other end of the Slytherin table, Severus watched too, not with envy, but with sharp, unsettling interest. Professor Slughorn's pleased expression faltered. Hayley remained seated. Applause thundered around her, but she barely heard it. A warmth stirred beneath her skin. Golden, patient, and Dumbledore met her gaze across the hall, not triumphant but watchful. Magic had not rewarded her, it had noticed her, and it was already waiting for what came next. Time skip, Hogwarts Express. Steam clouded the platform. Students hugged, waved, promised letters they would never write. Hayley leaned out of the train window, watching Hogwarts disappear behind the hill. Her heart twisted fear, belonging, and something else. Anticipation. She glanced at her wand, and it pulsed softly. A quiet glow gold like an ember waiting to ignite. Iris nudged her. Next year will be easier. Hayley laughed hollowly. You think magic cares what I want? James joined them, throwing an arm over her shoulders. No, but you've got us. Hayley relaxed, just a little. Then the sky darkened. Clouds swirled into a spiral directly above the train, lightning-tinged gold. Hayley's wand vibrated and a single word burned across her palm, glowing like molten script. ASCNSIO. Iris gasped. Hayley, it's marking you. Hayley's breath hitched. Magic didn't choose lightly or kindly. James whispered, voice trembling. You're not just learning magic, you're becoming it. Hayley closed her fist over the mark, and for the first time she wasn't scared. She was ready.